Good evening and welcome to hashtag Jeopardy live panel presented by the JeopardyFan.com. Once again, I am Andy Saunders and I will be moderating the discussion this evening. Time for me to introduce tonight's panel. We have, first up, the founder of the JeopardyFan.com, Jeannie Kenkel. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jeannie.
Yes, thank you.
So, the baseball team closest to you is doing rather well at this point, up 2 games to
Yeah.
nothing over my Blue Jays. But it's the best to say.
Uh-oh, is he frozen for you guys?
Yep. Mutiny.
Well, what, Andy?
No, it's no big deal at this point. You're okay until you lose at home, and the Blue Jays haven't lost at home yet. So.
Oh, okay. I couldn't watch today's game because I don't get that channel. It was on some funky channel.
Ah.
Now, the Cubs game is on TBS, but I don't really watch National League stuff. I have it on, but...
Okay, so my next introduction is somebody who's already making fun of me in chat, not on the actual out loud, but we have. Well, you're like, he doesn't know he froze, so.
No, I'm just saying it'll be interesting.
It's gonna be like the live panel. It's gonna be like the Tournament of Panelists finals. You know that. And
Zing.
Yeah.
Which I failed to make.
Oh, he's frozen again.
Uh-oh.
No.
He gone. No, that's the White Sox. Poor Andy.
But recently in the can. Well, technically, you still have your title in the eyes of America for another month or so, Ben.
Yeah,
But
that's so sad, Ben. Are you sad about that?
No. I'm lucky I had it in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not for
Aw.
someone else to enjoy it.
Aw.
And we've got a couple of contestants who were on in the past, I guess you could say 15 Jeopardy games, 15, 16. We've got, first up, Ezgu Ustundag. I think I pronounced that close to
Yeah.
correct.
Yes, I'll respond to pretty much anything that sounds like that, but yeah, that's actually right.
And finally, Alicia Worley.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, 2 for 2. I'm not
Alright.
usually 2
Oh,
Oh,
he froze
sorry.
again.
Yes.
We can talk about him. Here we go.
for 2.
Well,
It's on
Trebek
YouTube,
actually
so-
butchered my name. So you're doing better than he did.
Poor Andy. Justin
Oh, he's back
Smoke.
now, I think. Andy?
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. What?
Oh, we're just seeing if you're unfrozen yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm okay. I'm still here. I've just in case I do freeze, I have basically put it on auto direct. So if you speak, the camera will go onto you automatically, as opposed to me trying to move the camera. So
Oh, I didn't know you ever moved the camera. Do you?
sometimes, well, most of the time I actually have it on manual move, and I just am really good at moving it to whomever is speaking.
Oh.
But, just in case,
Oh, there he is.
Ugh. I have to do some typing.
tonight I'm actually going to. Yeah, so yes, the big news of the week. Matt Jackson lost his 14th attempt at a victory. We are going to have the man who finally defeated him, Michael Baker, on in a little bit.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael is just on vacation at this point. I guess a well-deserved vacation after winning on Jeopardy, but he will join us in the near future here on Live Panel. But yeah, I guess my first question is for the two people who played against him. How did you feel about losing to someone who went on a massive run like that?
For me, at least, I feel like it was kind of an honor to be on the air with someone like that. He's very memorable. He's gonna be one of those legendary players. So I think it's really cool to have played against him. I would have. I mean, the outcome isn't ideal, obviously, but he was. I mean, he was a gentleman. He was great to play against.
Oh, good.
And very obviously just an exceptional player. So it's a good story to tell. At least usually people I feel like wouldn't remember your opponent, but if you kind of pull out the Matt Jackson name, like that's a lot more memorable than saying I just lost because I didn't know the answers to anything or whatever. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like if I had to lose, at least I lost to Matt Jackson. And we already used it as a trivia team name in pub trivia last week. So it got everybody really excited. Everybody in the bar was really excited by that. So it's a great story to tell. And yeah, it kind of, for me anyway, it took away a lot of what ifs and if only I'd gotten that question right and, you know, those sorts of things because there was just nothing I could have done. So in some ways, it almost made it a little bit easier, I think, to lose.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was definitely rooting for him at the end, though. I like Michael Baker, like, did a great job, but I was kind of like wanting it to go, the streak to go on a little longer, even. So
Yeah.
the whole thing was more, I guess, more of a news story, but I mean, he was awesome to watch at home too, because I guess I was on his 4th or 5th victory, so I wasn't sure how much longer he'd be going for. So it was fun to kind of cheer him on at home, kind of just watch in amazement the whole time.
Right.
Did you tape on a Tuesday or Wednesday?
I taped on a Thursday.
Oh.
Or I'm sorry, I taped on a Tuesday, like in terms of like real life, but
Yeah.
it aired on a Thursday.
Yeah, and then I taped on Wednesday the next day because when he, at the beginning of the day, they told us he was a 5-time champion already. So yeah, so that was your day.
How did that make you feel, hearing that? You're like, oh, well, I'm just chilling here, and then we got a 5-day champion. Good luck. Did that shock y'all or anything? Or
What was that?
like if you walk in and you say, oh, our champion's won 5 days, and you know he's got the momentum, what was y'all reaction to that? It's just an open question, I guess.
Well, for me, there was a little bit of a wow, congratulations at first, and then, of course, we hadn't seen him play, and I didn't have that sense of, oh, I'm up against a juggernaut, just because he was a 5-time champion. But once we started to see him play, then there was the sense of wow, this guy is really something, and it's not just a fluke. He didn't just have a few good games in a row. Like, he's really somebody who's a really massive opponent. So it was more as the day went on rather than at the beginning of the day that it started to be daunting. So that was my experience.
Yeah, when I was taping, he was just a 1-day champion. The beginning of that day. So I was just kind of like not taking it too seriously. People win once and then they don't win again. It's very typical. So
Yeah.
I was pretty relaxed going into it, and then I noticed when we were getting on the van to the studio, he had this roller bag, like a whole suitcase full of clothes. And I was like, wow, this guy's confident. Ha. And then I was like, okay, I guess he needed all of those clothes. As I watched him, I was like, okay, respect. I see that now.
Wow. Did he have people with him in the audience?
He had his mom.
His mom was in the audience, and actually my husband was sitting next to her the entire day of our taping. So it was kind of interesting, which was when that 5,000 wager came up. That was, so he was sitting next to her and had her input, where she was very surprised that he would have wagered 5,000 on a sports clue. And when it came out that he wagered 5, she was like, oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. So it was kind of interesting for me to have that input from my husband of how he had been chatting with her throughout the day.
Yeah. Hey, Ben, when you taped your regular episodes, do you remember how many times the champion was that day? Like when you got there in the morning?
It was 1.
1? That's what mine was, too.
Yeah. But he wound up winning, I think 3 or 4 yours did, but you know, it wouldn't have mattered 1, 5, 10. I would have been just as scared.
Oh.
You know, it's a new experience, and I say this all the time. I'm saying it again. I think the first game is the roughest.
Oh.
You know, so it happens. It happens.
Which
but I think y'all played very well.
Which episode did you tape that day? Like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? To start with. Like, what day did your first episode air? What day of the week?
You asking me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I did Monday through Friday in one day, and I did Monday through Thursday the next.
So
we actually taped on a Wednesday and a Thursday, which I think was Holy Week for us Christians, but I think it was Passover that same week. I think it was why that was Wednesday, Thursday, but I don't know for sure.
Oh, so you taped the
weird.
very first episode that day?
Oh, yes. I got called up first, in fact.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow, yeah. Huh.
So for me, I was actually one of the LA alternates that day on Wednesday.
Okay, I wonder.
Oh.
So I don't know if all y'all know how it works, but basically there were two of us, and the other one was Eric he played the Thursday before me. And they tell you that when you're an alternate that there's two of you, and one of you will definitely go on, and the other one will not go on that day unless there is some reason somebody gets sick or something like that. But then you'll be invited back like within a few months to tape again if you don't happen to go on that day. So I had a 50-50 chance of going on that day under normal circumstances. But there was someone else in our group named Matt, who, Ezgi, I assume was in your group the day before. And by the way, he's not the Matt that was on this past Friday's game. I think a lot of people thought he might have been the same Matt, but that was not him. The other Matt, as he's become known among us. So, Ezgi, probably this happened with your group too.
Yeah.
He got bumped to our day because they didn't want him to have to go up against someone with the same name.
Oh.
And they gave him the option of using Matthew or, you know, a middle name or going by last initials or something like that. And first, he didn't feel comfortable doing that to begin with, but also gave him an opportunity to not have to go up against Matt Jackson, so I can't really blame him. So if Matt had lost any time during the day, I wouldn't have had to play, but since he kept winning, they had a person who couldn't go in, so they put me in instead of the other Matt. So the other Matt never had to play against Matt Jackson, but so my situation was I was either going to have to play against him or not play that day at all. So it was kind of interesting, and I didn't know, of course, until after the Thursday game. So I sat there all day, literally not knowing whether I was going to be playing or not. So it was a little bit of an emotional roller coaster for me, I have to say. But it was also, you know, really fun, just hanging out with everybody and rooting against Matt to lose, so that none of us would have to play against him. But at the same time, just having crazy respect for the kind of games that he was playing.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I just want to.
I'm done. Go ahead.
I just want to butt in with a question here. Something we can discuss as a group. It's based on a comment I'm noticing that I'm seeing on. Someone has left it on YouTube specifically.
Uh-oh.
We'll never know what the comment is.
Comment was, the cow says.
What exactly? I'm just gonna wait there. Okay, I'm back. Yay, yes. I'm back. Okay, so my specific question, or the specific question that came across was, did any of you guys get to meet Johnny Gilbert? So I guess if you guys want to discuss the role that Johnny Gilbert plays on a taping day, because I mean I personally can't answer that question, but I'm sure you guys can. You've been to many of them yourself. So what exactly is Johnny Gilbert's role, and how much does he get to actually quote unquote meet the contestants?
For me personally, I didn't have any interaction with Johnny Gilbert. He was there playing MC the entire day because the audience is there before the contestants. Well, I guess the contestants come in for a little bit of practice first, and then they bring the audience in, and then Johnny's there talking to the audience and entertaining them the whole time. So we see him in the studio, but I didn't have any interaction with him. And actually, this was my third time in the Jeopardy studio because my husband was a contestant several years ago, and I'd been with him in the studio for 2 days. Although he did not win because he also was an LA alternate who did not get on the first taping day and had to go back a second day. And neither time he didn't meet Johnny Gilbert either. So I don't know if anybody else had a different experience.
When was he on the show?
2006. I think it aired in March of 2006.
Okay. So that
No,
was
I'm sorry. It shot in March of 2006, so it aired sometime that summer, I think.
okay. Huh. Yeah, I didn't meet Johnny either, and I've never seen any. I mean, I've seen a lot of episodes there, and I haven't seen a contestant meet him that I can think of.
I have never met Johnny Gilbert. I guess if I have a regret, that's one. Also, I want one of his jackets.
His
Yeah.
jackets are fabulous.
Yeah, it's not on the Jeopardy store right now, but maybe in the future. I'll send him my measurements.
Well, another thing that I think maybe a lot of people don't realize is that the contestants are sequestered. So we're discouraged from having any contact with anybody that they don't directly give us contact with. So we don't have the opportunity to move around the studio and just talk to anyone we please. We're not allowed to do that at all.
Would I do that?
By the way, if anyone happens to have a comment that they want to leave, they can. You can always use the hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel on Twitter. I do keep tabs on that myself when this is being taped. So if you have a comment, I will.
I'm sure he's reading them.
Oh.
And it's generally.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm back now. Okay. So, whomever wants to, hashtag Jeopardy Live Panel on Twitter. I watch that. I keep an eye on that as we tape. Okay, so for our two recent ex-players, we've got my next question. Are there any, or would there have been a set of categories do you think that you think you might have been able to beat Matt Jackson on?
Well, it's hard to say because I thought that I got two really great categories. One was the College Football Hall of Fame, and I actually just blanked on a couple, and of course one I completely forgot the category and thought they were talking about the NFL, and was very confused because that didn't make any sense to me. It was something about how they won it all with a new coach this year, which I know very well because I'm an alum of the University of Alabama, and Ohio State beat them very badly this year. But I thought they were talking about the Patriots, and I was confused because obviously they had new coach this year. So that didn't help me out. And I'm also an interior architectural design student, and I got a building terms category. And again, one of those I just totally blanked on. So it's hard to say because even if I'd gotten every category that was every one of my strengths, who knows what I would have been able to come up with on the spot. Because for me, it was every time I actually rang in on the buzzer, I was shocked for a second, and it would take me aback, and I'd have this little blank moment just because Matt was so fast on the buzzer. So it was hard for me just kind of be in the moment and not think, oh, I got in, and then have my mind disconnect from the game a little bit. So it's hard to say. If it had been a different contestant dominated on the buzzer all day, I don't know if it would have been different, but who knows. I think I got pretty decent categories.
Yeah, I thought the categories under normal circumstances or relatively not Matt Jackson circumstances, I would have done fine. But the thing is that me and both Matt and Greg, the three of us are so close in age. I think Greg was like 22, I'm 20, and Matt was 23, or is 23. So, like, in terms of pop culture, like, I think any, like, sort of, I think we had a category of...
Uh-oh, we had no...
Sorry?
I think you froze on us again, but...
Oh, okay. I was saying...
One of these nights.
Yeah, I'll try again. I was saying that we had like a TV show cast photo category. I forget what it was exactly called, but it was funny. It was all like 80s and 90s TV shows, so I don't think any of us three like knew them necessarily. Just looking at the cast photos, so it was funny. We all kind of knew the same answers, and we also didn't know all the same answers. When Matt didn't buzz in, none of us buzzed in because none of us knew. So we were very equally matched in terms of knowledge, I think. But then Matt obviously steamrolled with the buzzing in.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if there had been categories that were super specific pop culture things like Friends episodes or something like that, I think I might have had an advantage over Matt, or a Coldplay songs or something like that. But otherwise, I think it was just totally, it would have been what?
Is it true that, gosh, I can't remember, there was that AV Club interview, and I can't remember, but like at least one or two of the categories on a board are pop culture. Or no, it's like one pop culture, one lifestyle, one word play, and then three that are just straight academic. So
that sounds right to me.
That does sound right.
It's about that. It's about that. But it's hard when you only have one pop culture and one lifestyle to make that kind of to get that kind of leverage. So
yeah. Uh-huh.
And also, he was just so good at finding the daily doubles.
Yeah.
And we didn't find the daily double in our single Jeopardy round. It was under, I think, a $400 clue that we never got to. And then in Double Jeopardy, he got back-to-back daily doubles, and then it was over.
that was surprising.
Yeah. That's what killed him on the show he lost on. Was
yeah, he got... Yeah, he didn't get the daily doubles, and he actually 3 days in a row back in Double Jeopardy. So, starting with Me.
Bad luck.
I think Andy froze again.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, no,
Of course, Andy froze again. Speaking of Andy freezing again, I'd like to give a shout out to Ben Wiles out of Twins02, obviously. A gift from my laptop to yours. If you go onto Twitter, you'll see a bottle of antifreeze photograph.
Don't drink that.
That's awesome.
Hopefully I have enough. Hopefully it doesn't freeze on me at this point, and I can quickly get through this week in Jeopardy history before before someone asks another question. By the way, Ben, this might be a good time for you to prepare your next usual, quote-unquote, usual question for contestants. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But, this week in Jeopardy history, back in 2003, obviously that was the year that...
Well, nope, didn't.
Fro.
I guess we could play a guessing game or look on the archives.
The season 20.
There he goes. There he goes.
There he goes, of course, yes. As I was saying, back in season 20, when the 5-time limit was first removed, obviously somebody had to be the first super champion, winning more than 5 games in that distinction. Middle of October 2003 went to Sean Ryan, who about this time in 2003 became the first 6-day champion on Jeopardy. Obviously, without that, we would have Ben Ingram would be just a 5-time champion. Matt Jackson would be just a 5-time champion.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Just a 5-time champion. Just.
I know. How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that rule, guys?
Well, now here's the thing. I'm biased, but you might have seen Ronnie O'Rourke, also known as Jeopardy, and I talking about it on Twitter. The only thing I mind about it is that it means that there are fewer contestants in a year who get a chance to get on the show and shine, because if somebody wins or loses or draws on 5, then that means 3 people come on instead of 2. That's the only thing I mind about it, but I don't mind it enough to, well, I'm just going to leave it at that.
That's
Obviously, it wouldn't have affected your experience at all, SG, but how would you have felt? How do you feel about the rule?
I mean, I'm fine. I mean, if he's gonna keep winning, like if the champion's gonna keep winning, they should just keep winning. I think. Let me think. I think Matt got his 5th on my episode, so it wouldn't have made any difference in my personal experience. But I kind of like rooting for people who keep winning back to back. I don't know. I was rooting for you, Ben, as you kept racking up the wins. So I enjoyed personally.
What did Ken Jennings do for the ratings? I know that I think that was the first time that Jeopardy jumped Wheel of Fortune because of Ken Jennings.
Whoa.
I think
Yeah.
that's true, but Andy's holding up a finger.
Yeah, holding up a finger.
So
Andy, why
finger
do you
crooked.
do this?
Jeez. The finger is crooked.
I was pointing upwards.
For the ratings.
Yes.
Oh, the rate. Oh,
Oh, the
sorry,
right.
Yeah.
the URL. I was about to say JeopardyFan.com in case you forgot.
Well, I read somewhere that some advertisers tried to get.
I think it's. I mean, I obviously
Oh no.
tried to get what?
Oh, I was saying that some advertisers tried to jump on the Jeopardy bandwagon early this week because of Matt's streak. They thought it would keep going, so they wanted to get the premium ad space because the ratings were going up. But he lost right when I think Jeopardy started having ad space to sell. So, and they never disclose if someone's having a streak, obviously. So, some advertisers missed out on a prime opportunity, or so they thought. So.
I don't know where to find Jeopardy numbers from history, but it'll be interesting to see ratings divided by number of wins. Of course, they're going to go down because people are getting more and more channels, and there's also things like books and going outside and Netflix and chill, whatever that means. I think chill must be another video site I don't know about, but stuff like that. That would be interesting to see. Because I'm sure it's helped ratings getting rid of the 5 games.
Oh yeah, I would. Well, I mean, I think you'd have to compare it to relative to Wheel of Fortune.
Good call.
Yeah, but I guess I've taken to calling this the Ingram question. But Ben, since you're here, I think you can ask it yourself. But
oh, you want me to ask it?
yes, of course I want you to ask.
Okay, I'll
Well,
ask
you're not
it.
frozen, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My question is, what did y'all have for lunch?
Oh.
Well, that's all of a sudden my question, but
So I had actually
It
read, in my preparation, I had read a tip from a former contestant saying that you should avoid having a heavy lunch that will cause a carb crash afterwards. Which, well, I think for me it might have been a good call. I had a chicken salad on wheat and a banana. Not very exciting. But if somehow it ended up 11 cents over the $12 limit. And they had told us before we went in, if you go over, don't worry about it. But the cashier at the commissary actually didn't know what to do. He was very confused. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have an extra 11 cents. Do you need me to go get Glenn? And finally he was like, no, it's okay. But you could tell he was really freaked out and had no idea how to handle it.
Oh,
wait a
It was
minute.
kind of funny for 11 cents.
A sandwich and a banana is $12.
Well, okay, I think I had a bottled water too, but yeah, at
That's like
the
$8 right there.
Sony commissary, that's how much. It's $12.11.
I had a salad and a bottle of water, and I think the lady at the checkout told me that I still had some money left, so she kind of forced me into getting a thing of orange juice at the checkout line. So a boost
Not a
there.
beer. You know what's weird? Talking about that, how I taped on Wednesday and Thursday, they brought our food to us.
What do you mean?
They did, because, yeah, I thought this happened for everybody. But apparently I'll go to the commissary. They brought our food in. We went back to the green room, they brought our stuff in.
So I
Were they
think
closed or something for the Holy Week?
No.
so.
Wow.
I think when my husband taped, I think they did it the same way. They were also taping on Wednesday and Thursday then, but they brought them food into the green room. So maybe they changed things just this season. I don't know.
When did your husband tape? Pardon my ignorance.
It was 2006, so it's been a while.
Oh, okay. I
So
taped in
things have definitely changed since then, but
Well, good thing you got to play again, Ben, so you could go to the commissary, right?
Yeah, I got to go to the commissary a couple
Yeah,
times.
that's
pretty
the highlight of the day for me. I mean, you got to do that.
I didn't see anyone famous.
Oh, I saw Adam Sandler. Did you know that? But it was during the Battle of the Decades.
Oh.
I went to the commissary, and Adam Sandler walked by. Just walked by. It was
Do you
so
re-
cool.
Do you mean Adam Sandler of Happy Gilmore or Adam Sandler, the executive producer of Price is Right? No, he would be elsewhere. Never mind. He'd be at CBS.
Although the other guy might have walked by too, I'd never know.
He'd be at CBS, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
I take it you guys didn't see anybody famous? Ezgi and Alicia?
No,
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of, but I live in LA, so I don't always recognize famous people that until after the fact. I'll be like, wait a second, I think that was so and so.
Oh.
But I don't think I saw anybody on the lot that was famous now.
Okay. I've heard that it happens. What's his name? Robert was telling me that day that, because I asked if anybody famous was ever there, and he was like, "Oh, come on!" And he like listed all these famous people that they'd seen. But
Oh wow.
and then we all went around saying who we'd want to see famous at the commissary. And I said Justin Timberlake. I remember that.
good answer.
So the next day, I had to miss lunch because I had lost. And when I was leaving, I asked Robert, "Did you see anybody famous at the commissary today?" And he joked, "Justin Timberlake," but they didn't.
Zing!
Thanks a lot, Robert.
That hurts.
I know.
I want to see J.D. Timms.
He was quick on his feet there.
Off his
About
tape.
that.
Yeah. He's like that. Zing.
Have I frozen?
No?
No!
No! Wow!
Whoa!
Whoa! Oh my.
Whoa!
Okay, so, I guess my next question, sometimes I like to ask when we have a new champion on Friday. I haven't had a chance to ask this for a couple of weeks, but obviously Josh has won a couple, and just as we can tell, he's going to be joining us on live panel in the near future. But how well do you think, how long do you think, or I would say maybe better, what do you think his chances are of displacing
Frozen!
You never know.
Blazing home!
I guess
Yeah,
Michael
but-
Bilo is now on. I'm sure the TOC field watching this panel, either live or after the fact, is laughing hysterically at whatever we come up with, but
I don't know. I mean, he seems. Here's the thing. It's really hard to say because almost everybody seems as good as anyone else in the beginning, and even. But sometimes with long-running champions, you see something a little bit different, and I mean, I think we saw it with Ben, and definitely saw it with Matt, and I mean, I haven't necessarily seen that same intensity with. I'm sorry, what's his name? Is it Josh? Josh with an exclamation point.
Josh!
But you know, I also didn't necessarily think I saw that with Ken Jennings in the beginning, so it's hard to say. But he seems like a good champion, and I think he's fun to watch. I think he's been a little bit polarizing, maybe, from what I've seen, but I am enjoying watching him.
Me too. I think he's really entertaining, actually. I love his fist pumps, like, yeah!
apparently he's got a stand-up comedy career. Guess what? I promised we'd mention that on live panel.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Somebody complained in
Hi,
a
Josh.
comment that we didn't mention it in the post. It's like, why? Hopefully he'll be
You know
here
what's
next
kind of
time.
funny?
Canceled at the last second, but
Oh.
yeah.
You know what's kind of funny about Josh? He does some of the same things that Matt does in terms of playing around the board.
Yeah.
Sometimes he starts in the middle, sometimes he starts at 800, sometimes he goes straight down. I wonder if that's like a leftover of Matt Jackson's play. And I guess a broader question for Alicia and Ezgi, did that influence the way that y'all chose clues and categories and all that?
For me, I went in planning to do it that way, just because from watching Jeopardy and knowing how important it is to get to the daily doubles, even just to keep others from it, if nothing else. I went in with that plan, even though I know it's not necessarily always popular, and the contestant coordinators sort of try to discourage that. As they told us, simply because it's harder for Alex to keep up, it's harder for the camera people to keep up, that sort of thing. But I had the plan to do that anyway. I maybe was even more aggressive about it because of Matt, but it was how I was already going to play anyway.
Yeah, I sort of had that intention too going in, but I remember moving. I could have gone to a clue, a higher dollar value clue, and I didn't because I thought the category I was moving to would be a stronger one for me. Although, I mean, everything, like I said, everything for me was pretty much a strong category for Matt too. And I actually missed a daily double because I didn't unveil the daily double because I moved over a column. So I think if I'd stuck to going for the high dollar amounts as I had originally planned, I might have gotten that daily double. But certainly I'm not, like, I wasn't upset or anything that both Greg and Matt were playing like that. I think that's the way people, that's one way to control the way the game is played. So I definitely, if I had more time to dominate the board, I probably would have tried to do that too.
That's fair. My next question, and something I've been asking the new panelists recently, is I guess both Alicia and Ezgi just talk about your.
Oh, I knew it!
Talk about your.
Anything we want.
Audition experience. Did you wait for me to come back? There we go. Okay, yes. So yes, talk about your audition experiences and.
Oh yeah. Let's hear about that.
Yeah, I auditioned in June in Atlanta. That was fun. Maggie was in my room, so obviously you all know she's like crazy high energy, awesome. So that was kind of the moment when I met Maggie. I was like, okay, now this is for a game show. I can tell what this is for. Like,
Oh yeah, good point.
So yeah, she was so funny. She's so funny, and yeah, I didn't actually think I did too well on the written part, just because I was talking to people in the bathroom, as one does after you take the written test. You have that break, the test and the mock Jeopardy rounds. I was asking people about some answers, and they made it sound like it was super obvious, but there were ones I didn't know. So I was like, okay, maybe I didn't get them. And then in the mock round, I recognized all the questions from recent episodes, so that wasn't difficult for that reason. But I wasn't super confident leaving the audition, to be honest. I was surprised when I got the call a couple months after.
For me, this was my third in-person audition, because being an LA person, they tell you it takes more tries typically than it does because they don't want to overload it with people from Los Angeles, because it's so much easier for us to come to the auditions and so forth. I had actually done the written test years ago, before they had the online test, when they just had you in a room, you'd take the written test, and then if you passed it, you stayed. If you didn't pass it, then you left. Well, I left. I didn't pass it that time. And then I think the first time I took the online test was 2009, and it's always in February, and then the interview, the in-person, was in July of that year, and then they tell you, you're in the contestant pool for 18 months. So it's basically a 2-year cycle. So then I did it again in 2000, I don't remember. I think I skipped a year, but I took it online again, went in for another in-person interview again, and went in again for the 18 months, and then this was my third time, and I took the test online in February, did the in-person audition in July here in Los Angeles, which they have it at the same hotel where y'all all stay when you come in from out of town. And then they called me in the beginning of August. So it was really, really quickly. I think it was like 3 weeks from the audition to the phone call. So honestly, I was really glad to not have to go through the whole process, wait another 2 years and go through the whole process again. But I also was completely not expecting it. They always say you'll get the call when you're least expecting it, and I hadn't, I hadn't been thinking about studying. We had just moved and bought a house, and they called me, I think, 2 days after we moved in, and I was still kind of crazy from that. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind.
Okay, so does anyone have any other... I know you've already burned your one usual question, Ben, but does anyone have any questions for anyone else on the panel at this point?
I have one. I know we're talking about Matt Jackson a lot, but on his last day, you saw how the scores were like 17-8, 17-6, something small. Matt did not bet small, he bet big. He bet to win, no matter what the second person would do. What would y'all have done?
I think I probably would have done the same thing. I think betting big, if at any point I'd had the opportunity to bet big, except I did it in final, but it was pointless. But if I'd had the opportunity during the game, I kind of had a little bit of a go big or go home attitude about it, and I feel like Matt did too, which really worked out well for him.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in because my internet's working right now. I would go big. I don't like Shura's conjecture. Ben knows this obviously, but in that situation, I definitely would have gone big, gone for 17-2. I mean, granted, I would have also got that final, but I would have definitely bet big on that. Now with the rest of you guys, sorry.
Yeah, I was saying, I think I would have bet big, especially since that the category was like U.S. landmarks. Like if I was Matt Jackson, I would feel confident about that category. It sounds like something he could very easily handle. But I was actually kind of surprised that he bet big, just because for me it seemed like while he did like to have those big sums, he also just wanted to win and move on to the next day. So I was sort of expecting a smaller wager from him. But I mean, if he had won, he would have had a huge total. So that's also keeping with his gameplay. So.
Good point. I was actually in one of those games, a similar game. I'm looking it up now. I think I was in 2 Shore games. Andy, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I was in one that said 16,000, 15-8, 6,400, and I bet big. I had to bet 98% of what I had, but I bet big, and I got it right and won by $1. The thing is, I read that Matt Jackson said that at least part of his play was modeled off of the way I played, and I'm extremely flattered by that. But the thing is, I hope that he did not take what I did saying bet big when if he'd have made the small bet, he'd have lost. So I am sorry, Matt Jackson. I am for real. I don't think you have any daughters, though. But I apologize a zillion times.
I get it.
Oh my gosh.
One of my biggest disappointments, I guess, was that I didn't actually get to use any of the Final Jeopardy strategy that I had so diligently practiced, because that is not my strength at all. And luckily my husband is an economics and game theory expert, and so I had him coaching me on Final Jeopardy strategy and running drills, and there didn't go by a day, I don't think, between when I got the call and went on the show that I didn't do 15 to 20 scenarios, because it wasn't what I was strong in, and I wanted to be. And then the score was whatever, I think 35,000 to 3,600. So I didn't have the opportunity to use that very specific skill that I will never have an opportunity to use again in my life. So that was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
But the point is, you got it. So now you
That's
can watch
true.
at home and explain to others, and you'll appear smarter, you'll get promotions, and we'll buy you drinks.
That's right.
For the record, yes, Ben, it was the 4th of July. It was the 4th of July game.
It was the 4th of July.
Yeah, it was the 4th of July, back when you decided you were going to bet big, and yeah, it was 16, 15, 8, and 6,400. I would have done the same thing you'd done.
Yeah, Hunter bet everything. Hunter was in second. He bet everything.
Mhm.
And the person who wound up winning Matt Jackson's last game, Dan, oh my gosh, it was Mike. I'm sorry, Mike Baker. But anyway, it was Mike. What am I
Mikey
thinking?
D, yeah, it was Mike.
Yeah, Mikey D, yeah. The singer. I wish I could sing. But, yeah, Mike made the correct bet,
Mhm.
and as a result, he won the game for making the correct bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think there was some people were talking about whether or not he should have wagered more in that final daily double that he got, which would have put him in a totally different position in Final Jeopardy had that happened, where he would have had to, I think, wager a lot more. I don't remember the specifics now, but I remember at the time thinking it was kind of lucky that he didn't wager more than he did.
But also, Matt might have wagered more himself, too.
True.
Yeah, so...
Right.
Well, woe betide he or she who be forced to do mental math with people like Maggie and Glenn and Alex Trebek and Harry Friedman and Kevin McCarthy and Johnny Gilbert and Matt, the production assistant who's taller than I am, looking down your throat. I think the only person who took his time on wagering in daily doubles was Roger Craig, and maybe second was Alex Jacob, but they took forever. And I'm sure that they annoyed a lot of people. You know, it's a case of like not biting the hand that feeds you. So, you know, you feel the heat a little bit because everybody wants to keep the game moving so they can go home to their families and everything. But it's difficult to do that kind of math in your head and get it right. Maybe he just got it wrong.
Well, you know, to me also it's can't be any worse than a countdown numbers round when you're staring a whole bunch of numbers and a 3-digit target in the face and having to come up with your answer in 30 seconds. So.
Right.
But you have a pencil for that. I mean, I never use it. I like doing it in my head, but I fail most of the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think most people realize how much is going on around you on the stage all the time. Even like right up until the second that they come back from break, there were people literally right there next to you at the podium standing there talking to you that have just stepped away. So it's kind of it's a different experience than how it seems on TV, as well, most of you know.
It is indeed.
Yeah. And we had kind of a weird taping day. There were a lot of technical difficulties and a lot of stoppage of gameplay. There wasn't for hours, of course. I mean, not of course, but luckily there was no stoppage in my game, but there had been several stoppages throughout all the games before me, and then of course the Wednesday game where there was the question of what Matt had actually wagered in his daily double. There was, I would say that was like a 10 to 15 minute stoppage.
No.
So, stop the tape for 15 minutes on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they compliance, judges, everybody went behind closed doors, and they had a big long discussion over it.
Did they deduct 5,000 at first? Is that what happened?
You know, I'm honestly not sure because I was in the audience with those of us that were left to play against him, and we thought that he meant 5,000, and we were celebrating because he'd gotten it wrong. I mean, I feel bad saying that we were rooting against him, but we didn't want to have to play against him, obviously. I mean, in some ways, of course, we were admiring him, but we didn't want to have to play. So then when the game stopped, we thought it was for a totally different reason. We thought it was somebody had said an answer that there was a question about. And it wasn't until they came back and only deducted $5 and the game continued that we were looking at the scores and talking amongst ourselves saying, wait, what's going on? We don't understand. We thought it was 5,000, and we realized, oh, that was what they were talking about the whole time. Because, you know, you could hear little bits of the conversation. You could hear Alex say, oh, are we sure about this? Did we ask him what he said? Things like that. So then we kind of put it all together. So I don't think they did originally. What was that?
Matt didn't say anything then when they deducted the 5,000? Like, how did they know to stop the tape? That's what I'm trying to imagine.
So I don't think they immediately deducted 5,000. I just can't remember. So much of the day is a blur, but they did stop right after that question. Since it was a daily double and it was already kind of a stopping point, instead of going on and sorting it out, they went ahead and stopped. So I think it was just that maybe some people thought he meant 5,000 and some people thought he meant 5, and they just went ahead and had a conversation about it. I really can't say. But it was immediate.
Okay.
I think it's always fascinating to hear when they do have to stop tape on something just because it is it ostensibly happens so rarely.
Right. Well, that day, it just so happened there were problems with the board. They couldn't get the right crane shot of the board coming up. The dollar amounts weren't appearing during one game. So there were several technical difficulties, and it was... there was a little bit of a stressful vibe, I would say, among the crew that day, just as a result of all of that stuff. I mean, it was still great, it was still fun, but you could tell it was out of the ordinary how many stoppages there were.
Huh.
Yeah, I was there the day before, and we had like one major glitch, but it was pretty smooth sailing, I'd say. So it must have been a one-day thing.
Yeah, and there were quite a few things that they had to redub Alex saying, which actually in the little, at the end when they were rolling the credits, of course, everybody always asks, what did you talk about with Alex at the end? What he said to us was he was commenting about how many mistakes he himself had made that they had to redub.
Huh.
What did y'all talk about with Alex? Ours was completely uninteresting. What about you?
Well, I've told my story before, but he asked me, because in my intro it says originally from Lincoln, Nebraska, because I lived in Kearney at the time. So for some reason he thought I didn't live in Nebraska anymore, even though Kearney was in Nebraska. So he said, so where do you live now? And I told him, and I thought, that I said it was in Nebraska still, but he said, that's our producer over there. He pointed to somebody, and he was like, he doesn't want to live in Nebraska anymore either. What? I was just like, okay, we're done. You can talk to somebody else now. He doesn't know what he's missing in the good life here, I guess.
For real. Beautiful country.
Yeah, thank you. What about the rest of you guys? Well, Ben, you've had a million discussions.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Some of them are on YouTube, but he is very sympathetic and I believe empathetic with the contestants because I think he competed as a celebrity on the Art Fleming version wearing a coat that looked like a chessboard. Because it was the 70s, of course. But I think that's when he's at his most genuine. Everybody calls him snarky and everything, but I think he's just pandering to the TV audience. I'm glad that we have a chance to talk to him and to listen to him because I think he understands what the contestants are going through.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, he was talking, the final Jeopardy question was that Saturn, Moon, Shakespeare, tragic heroine thing, and he was talking about how he would have had no idea, so...
There's two of us.
That was one of the things that I studied, and when I saw it come up on yours, I turned to my husband and said, if only I'd gotten that. I had just studied all of that. Of course, there was also a question that came up on something that I had learned, and it just totally went out of my brain at the time. But I'll never forget now that Byron Whizzer White was the college football playing Supreme Court justice.
Byron White.
So there's that.
The wizard.
Well, one thing I do want to say myself before we close or finish up for the night, I was at a high school quiz bowl-ish tournament this weekend, or at least earlier today, I should say, in Toronto, and they asked about Matt. Because of course they asked, asked a question where Matt was the correct response, Matt Jackson. And of course, it was a house-written tournament, so there was obviously that turnaround can happen. But it went dead in the room I was moderating in, and I was very disappointed.
Oh.
But I guess they.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
And also there are a couple. Oh. It's funny. There's so much laughter. I'm glad that my internet connection makes me happy. But I guess I should probably ask once again if there are any other questions you guys want to put forth for anyone else on the panel at this point.
I'm done.
I hear crickets, so in that case, hopefully my internet doesn't go out before this finishes. Crossing my fingers. Okay, so for everyone here at Jeopardy Live Panel and the JeopardyFan.com, thanks to our panel tonight. Thanks to our audience for tuning in. I am. Hopefully, this is going.
So close.
No, nice little freeze.
He's probably got, one of those. Here he goes.
Oh.
Yeah, he's back.
No, all right.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank everyone for taking part and for tuning in. So thank you very much. We'll see you next time here on Jeopardy Live Panel. Have a great night.